Hi guys, my name is Kirsty. Welcome back to Upside Down Books. Today we're going to be doing the twice-a-year book tag.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di torno.
So this book tag is an original created by Beckel Books, who is an incredible Aussie booktuber, so make sure you go and check out her channel. I will leave it all linked below so you can see her original video, and I thought that it would be a great video to do today, which is meant to be done like in April and November, I want to say, twice a year, to sort of check in on your reading progress, what you've read, how you're doing, what goals are, and if you're on track for things. So let's get into the questions. So the first question is, how many books do you think you'll read this year? My original goal was 75 books, and I'm still... Am I hopeful? No, I'm not hopeful. I was going to say I'm still hopeful that I'll read that many, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I really wanted to read 75 because I'm trying to push myself to increase how many books I read each year, because when I first started logging my books on Goodreads way back when in the dinosaur ages, I saw this beautiful trend where the more I got involved with the book community, the more I was reading. But turns out doing your masters at uni is actually requires a fair bit of your time, as does working. So perhaps schedule's a bit different to when I was all of 17 years old. So I'm still hopeful that I'll one day be able to continue that trend, but maybe we'll have to start it with next year when uni is actually done. So my goal was 75. I'm currently on track for 65. So 65 is always the goal that I've had like on display on my Goodreads page, which is linked somewhere. I'll link my Goodreads in the little box below for you if you want to friend me and you want to follow on what each other is reading. But yeah, I think I was realistic at the start of the year, always knowing that 75 is just not quite going to happen. So we're still aiming for 65 and I'm still on track. So let's hope that I can manage that, because I will be upset if I don't at least read more than what I read last year. If I am competitive, it is never more than with myself. The next question is, have you made a specific reading goal or target that you need to check in with and keep track of? So I have several reading goals for this year aside from my Goodreads challenge, and I had a whole video about these, and can I remember what they are? I do have goals. I wrote them down, very handy. So one of my goals for this year was to read all of / as much of Colleen Hoover as I can. I don't think I'm going to do as well at this as I thought I would, half because my library never gets in the books I ask them to. So they've not got in any Colleen Hoovers, so that's going to definitely hinder my progress. And I was trying in a valiant attempt to not just buy all of them. But I have read a grand total of 1 Colleen Hoover book, so I guess that's something. I continuously don't make room for her books in my TBR, although I did actually pick, I don't know. Let's just say that I'm trying. It's mostly not happening, so we'll, you know, if I actually read more than 2 books a month, then maybe there'll be a little bit more room for challenges. But right now, we're running low on time. So then there's the Goodreads Choice Awards predictions challenge thing that I've done. Also have a video for this one explaining this. Again, this has suffered a little bit of time because I haven't really been able to update that little book that I had going. But I have got physical copies of a lot of the books that I wanted to read, and there are some that I have been reading. In fact, why don't we actually just quickly revisit that? So I've not really updated this since I last showed it to you, because again, I've not been updating it with the books that have been coming out, and I should do that. So next time I get a bit of free time, and remember I will. Mystery and thriller, have read none of these, and also don't own any of these. Historical fiction, I read The Four Winds, but I think I'd also read that when I talked to you guys last. So fantasy, haven't read any of these, but I'm almost 100% sure I will read. I'm pointing at these as if you can actually read that. This is The House of Always. Don't know how good your eyesight is. I'm quite sure that I will read that. Let's come a bit closer. So when it comes to sci-fi, I do have a copy of Clara and the Sun, and I do have a copy of A History of What Comes Next, and I will read that this year, so we're going okay for sci-fi. For romance, we've got One Last Stop, The Ex, Talk, and Love in Colour. I've not got any copies of either of those, but I do have a plan. Non-fiction, I've read a lot of non-fiction, but I haven't revisited that, so that's another day's work there. Memoir, Leave Me Alone. I am planning to read this like very soon, so that's something. Debut, I've got Wings of Ebony, The Unbroken, The Gilded Ones. I've got copies at the bottom too, but I've not read either yet. For YA fiction, I still haven't updated this and I still haven't read any. YA fantasy, I've read Game Changer and hated it, so that didn't work. But I've also got Law, Winterkeep, A Trial of Sorcerers, and a couple of others, and I'm planning to read a handful of these. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get there. And then a variety of the smaller genres. So I think, on the whole, still not doing fantastic for that challenge. The next one was to read all of my ARCs, my review copies as they come in, am trying. I think I've put myself in a reading slump because I've been pushing through a couple that I've not been loving, so we will talk about that in my wrap up. And then the goal was to read all my Christmas presents from 2020 by the end of this year. We will revisit that way later in the year. Another one was to, there's so many goals, I was so ambitious. Another one is to read all my birthday presents before May. Oh god, that's the TBR I should be doing for May. That's proper stumped me. I forgot that that was a challenge. In May, in the lead up to my birthday, I should be reading all the books I didn't read for my birthday last year. We are going to talk about that in another video. Okay, moving on. And then I want to participate in Tome Topple, but that's not till August. So that's my very lengthy answer to question 2. Question 3. How many 5-star books have you read so far this year? That's a really good question because I think for my own reading standards, I've been a little bit light on the 5-star ratings. Shock horror. Let's count. I say that, but it turns out that out of the 20 books I've read so far, 8 of them have been 5-star reads, so that is not bad at all. Still having a better reading time than I keep thinking I'm having for some reason. Next question is, what's a popular book that you own but you haven't read yet? Most of them is my answer. Shall we just do a random selection of ones in the vicinity behind me? Still haven't read Sherwood by Megan Spooner. That's quite popular. I haven't finished reading the Miss Peregrines series, and that's also really popular. Whilst I've read most of this series and am supposed to be doing a reread this year, I've still not really reread past Heir of Fire, and I've not read anything beyond Empire of Storms, full stop, so failing on that front. And as a last random selection, and probably the least popular out of all the popular books I picked, is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, because this didn't seem to make a huge splash when it first came out, but I've seen this heaps among like I think it's adult fantasy circles. And I've still not read it, but I really, really want to. So, you know, that and literally about 300 other books. So the next question is, do you want to reread anything in the next few months? Yes. As I mentioned, I really, really want to reread the Throne of Glass series and actually finally finish it, but I'm getting really stuck by the fact that I'm just not reading enough. I find that by the time I'm getting through my TBRs, I'm not making any time to reread, which is like a dual problem in the fact that I don't have the time, but also I don't like rereading very much, so I don't prioritize it. So I could definitely revise my TBR, but I'm more inclined to try and find more time before I select fewer books. What else? I feel like there's something else I wanted to reread. I've always really wanted to reread the Tiger's Curse series the whole way through, and I keep rereading Tiger's Curse book 1 and then getting stuck and not finishing it, so that's another one. There's totally something else I want to reread. Actually, do you know what it was? It was Aragon, but I did that one, so I'm really, really proud of myself that I achieved one goal, guys. One goal. The next question is, what new release are you anticipating for the second half of the year? I think it is Defy the Stars. Is that... Let me consult my book. Yes, in September, Defy the Stars by Bridget Kemmerer is coming out, and despite only having read one of her books, I know I'm gonna love all of her other stuff. She wrote the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series, and I've read book 1, and I keep meaning to read the other 2, but alas, poor Yorick, where is my time? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Defy the Stars. I think that's going to be super duper exciting. It's probably quite high up there. Although, I think Andy Weir's new book is coming out in May. Project Hail Mary? That's going to be really good and I'm excited for that too. But don't quote me on that release date because I'm not sure. The next question is the last question, and it is, what are you planning to pick up next? And do you think you'll rate it 4 stars or above? God, I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. I'm actually thinking I'm going to start cheating and picking up a few novellas to make myself feel better. Just etch that count up a little bit. One of the books that I am planning on reading next, because it's coming out in the beginning of May, is The Ones We're Meant to Find. And this sounds incredible. If you didn't see me talk about this in my book haul video, then go and look up the blurb because, oh wow, I am so excited to read this. It sounds incredible and I will be surprised if I don't rate this at least 4 stars. So those are my answers for this tag. I will tag anyone who wants to do it, so just let me know in the comments down below if you're going to do it or if you've already done it, and I'd love to see your answers. But thank you very much to Beckle Books for creating this tag. It was really fun to revisit a few things, even if it was mostly shaming all of the reading I haven't done. But other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.